All right, let's dive right in this week and take a look at, well, frankly, something pretty wild that happened in the crypto world last month.
Yeah.
Shiba Inu, SHE, saw this incredible surge in September.
Yeah.
Now, if you follow crypto at all, September, that's not usually when the good news rolls in.
Right. September is historically like pretty rough. It's got, people call it the September curse for a reason.
Look, a curse.
Yeah, kind of a running joke, but it's not a joke if you're on the wrong side of the market. Prices tend to dip. Investors are a little more cautious, like right after the summer holidays. Maybe they've got some tax selling to do. It's a pattern.
Yeah, kind of like a financial hangover from all the summertime fun, except with, well, with digital currency. But we're talking about Shiba Inu, SHE, and it seems like it decided to completely ignore the memo on September this year.
Completely. Over 50% surge in just 1 week. That's not just beating the curse. It's like SHIB just took the entire history book and threw it out the window.
Which is why we're here.
Absolutely.
We're going deep today with a whole stack of articles we pulled from the Shib, which, if you don't know, that's basically your insider source for all things Shiba Inu. We want to know what fueled this growth spurt, understand what this could mean for the future.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really significant anomaly because, since SHIB launched back in 2020, typically you see maybe it's flat in September, maybe a small gain here or there, but nothing remotely close to what we're looking at right now with this year.
So this is not just some random blip. We need to figure out what's going on here.
Right, exactly. And unraveling, kind of like pulling this thread on what happened in September, I think that's going to give us some really important clues about where SHIB might be headed next.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the factors involved here, they're pretty fascinating.
Okay, so let's get into it then. Let's talk about some of those factors that contributed to this SHIB September sizzle.
Yeah.
All right, so we've established SHIB September was, well, something else. Definitely not business as usual, so let's dig into the why. The Shiba News September Sizzle article, this is one of the articles we're looking at from the Shib, it points to some pretty major players and events that might have contributed to this surge. One that stood out to me was Grayscale Investments, right? They're a pretty big name in the crypto space. Well, they put out this report, and SHIB was all over it. They were specifically calling out the fact that it gained, get this, 32.1% in just 1 week.
Wow.
And that's not, a bunch of people on Twitter talking about it. This is institutional attention.
Right. And that's huge for any cryptocurrency, but especially for one with ish background. We can't forget, this started as a meme coin. So you have a major player like Grayscale. It lends a certain legitimacy, right? And that starts to signal to other big institutional investors that, hey, maybe there's more to this than we originally thought. Maybe we need to take a second look.
Yeah, it's like when your favorite indie band that nobody's ever heard of suddenly gets signed to a major record label.
Right, exactly.
Things start to get, a lot more serious.
Yeah.
And speaking of serious, we also have crypto analyst Javon Marks. He's out there predicting, get this, a potential 360% price explosion.
Why?
Based on chart patterns, putting SHIB potentially at 0.0000081.
Okay, so that's a bold statement.
It is. So, how much should we really be paying attention to these kinds of predictions?
Well, technical analysis is a thing. And a lot of people, they live and die by the charts, right? So when somebody like Javon Marks, who, has made a name for himself in the crypto space, when he starts saying that he's seeing these really bullish indicators, people pay attention, it becomes this kind of self-fulfilling prophecy where the more people believe it, the more they invest. And that, in turn, can drive the price up.
So it's not even necessarily about the numbers themselves all the time. It's about how those numbers then influence people's behavior.
Exactly.
The sentiment, that fear of missing out.
Huge, huge, especially in the crypto world.
And then, you've also got, we've got to talk about Robinhood. That's a platform that's really become synonymous with, everyday people getting into investing.
Sure.
The article mentions that this is on Robinhood, it jumped 50.2% just in late September.
Yeah. And that's what's really interesting here is that you have this influx of retail investment. Again, people see these numbers, they hear the buzz, the FOMO is real, and they want to get in on the action, right? So that absolutely can dramatically impact the price, especially in the short term.
You're right.
But the real question is, where does it go from there?
Yeah, because what goes up must come down, as they say. And speaking of things that can be a little volatile, we've got to talk about the Shib Army.
Oh, yeah.
Their online presence, their just dedicated support of SHIB, it's it's kind of legendary.
It really is. It's part of I think, the mystique and the appeal, right? I mean, you can't deny that their enthusiasm is a factor here. It plays a role in how far SHIB has come, for sure. But there's this other really crucial aspect we need to discuss too, which is that the technology behind Shiba Inu, it's evolving. This isn't just a meme anymore.
Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting for me.
Yeah.
So tell me more about how the tech behind Shib is actually changing the game.
All right, well, let's talk about Shibarium.
You mentioned that the tech behind Ajib is evolving, that it's not just a meme anymore, and honestly, that's the part I'm really curious about.
Yeah.
So tell me more about how that's actually happening, like what's changing.
Well, it all really centers around this thing called Shibarium.
Oh, okay.
Shibarium, and this is
Basically, you can think of it like Shiba Inu's answer to some of the limitations of the Ethereum network.
Okay, and I think it's worth mentioning here for anyone who might not be as familiar, SHIB, Shiba Inu, it's built on Ethereum, which is, well, it's known to get a little congested, shall we say.
Yeah, for sure. When you have a lot of traffic on the network, right, all these transactions happening, things can slow down, fees go up, and that can be, well, it's a hurdle, right, for anything operating on the Ethereum blockchain.
Yeah.
So Shibarium, think of it like, imagine a high-speed off-ramp, but specifically for the Shiba Inu ecosystem. Okay, so now transactions, they're faster, they're cheaper. It's addressing, like, head-on one of the biggest criticisms of Ethereum.
Okay, so it's like streamlining the process, making be more efficient, more cost-effective, all that good stuff. But, I mean, are people actually using this off-ramp, using Shibarium?
Oh, yeah, they are.
Okay.
There's this other article, Shibarium's Quiet Rise. This one really caught my eye because it highlights that Shibarium's total value locked, or TVL, just recently passed $7 million.
Okay, and why does that matter?
Because it means people are putting their money where their mouth is, right? They're investing in projects that are actually built on Shibarium, not just like speculating on the price of a SHIB.
So it's less about betting on the horse in the race. It's more like investing in the racetrack itself.
Exactly. It's a show of, I think, a belief in the underlying technology, in its potential.
Yeah.
And driving that TVL growth within the Shibarium ecosystem, there's two projects that are kind of leading the charge. One is K9 Finance. They're big into liquid staking. And the other is ShibaSwap. That's a decentralized exchange.
Okay, and just for anyone who needs a refresher, liquid staking, that's where you can essentially earn rewards for, for helping to secure the network, and a decentralized exchange that lets you trade cryptocurrencies directly without needing like a centralized intermediary, like a brokerage or something.
Exactly. So you're seeing, I mean, what's interesting here is it's building real-world utility, right, within the SHIB ecosystem.
Okay, so it's becoming more than just like a store of value. It's actually got this functionality behind it now.
Right. And this kind of ties into a key theme that emerged, I think, from all of the experts we looked at, especially in that expert panel discussion, Shiba Inu's Uptober. Nice. We took a look at that. And they all agreed. I mean, you had Andy Leon, he's, blockchain advisor. You had Shibtoshi, the kind of the elusive developer who's had a lot of success in the space. Himanshu Mordia, who's really a big driver behind India's blockchain adoption. They all said the same thing, which is that, you know what? Shiba's September surge, that wasn't just hype. There are some real tangible drivers behind it.
So sounds like Shibarium is a big part of that, pushing Shib beyond just this idea of a meme coin and into like real world application, real world value. Yeah. The question is though, I mean, can it keep this momentum going?
Right. That's the million-dollar question, right? And I'd say from what we saw from the experts, I think they're cautiously optimistic. They recognize, look, Shiba Inu still has a lot to prove in terms of long-term sustainability, but, they see this potential there. But it all comes down to, can they keep building a thriving ecosystem around it? Can they attract developers? Can they maintain the SHIB Army's enthusiasm? I mean, that's a huge part of it.
Well, and speaking of the SHIB Army, I did notice, they've got the ShiberCon website up and running now. I think early bird tickets are on sale, like a pretty steep discount if you're interested. And, just to add to that buzz, CoinMarketCap actually named SHIB the bull of the week. So there's definitely still a lot of positive sentiment out there around it.
For sure. I mean, look, we've got to wrap up here, but the thing is, you look at SHIB and it's this fascinating story, right? It's captured the attention of the big institutional players. It's got everyday investors excited, and it created this perfect storm, right? That fueled this incredible surge in September. Now, whether they can turn this momentum into, sustained growth, wider adoption, that remains to be seen, but it's going to be fun to watch.
It will. It definitely will. And you know what? On that note, that actually leads me perfectly into our final thought for our listeners today. So, if you were building the next Shibarium, what problem in the world are you trying to solve? What could blockchain technology address in a way that it hasn't been able to before?
That's a great question.
I think so. All right, everyone, that's all the time we have for today. But as always, thank you for joining us for this deep dive, and we will catch you next time.